Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. You may remember a few days ago we spoke to the guys at Citrix about they are much more than just networking and virtualization. So today I wanted to carry on that theme a little with my friends at HCL Technologies, who are doing some incredible work. And regular listeners will know that I've spoken to them in the past about their work with Manchester United, or should I say the digital transformation of Manchester United. And then I also spoke with them again at the Adobe conference, where we talked about how organisations, countries and businesses can adapt to the human-centred digital transformation. And after those conversations, I thought I knew there was all to know about their talents and their expertise. But then I noticed that they also have a huge involvement in cybersecurity. And I'm not sure why I was surprised by that, because the digital transformation of everything should have cybersecurity at the heart of it, shouldn't it? So today I invited Maninder Singh, Corporate Vice President of Cybersecurity Services at HCL Technologies, onto the podcast to come and join me. And he has over 25 years of experience in the IT industry, having played various roles in business development, sales, product management, service delivery and program management, to name just a few areas where he's excelled. But today I invited him on the show to talk about HCL's Cybersecurity Fusion Center, which is about to open in Frisco, Texas, and how the opening represents the next phase in the company's mission to support secure business growth by providing their customers with a single point of contact for complete security incident lifecycle support. And that's from everything from detection to remediation. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Texas so we can speak with Maninder Singh, Corporate Vice President of Cybersecurity Services at HCL Technologies. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Melinda. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Thank you, Neil. Hello, everyone. My name is Maninder, and I am with HCL for almost about 24 years, and I've served various leadership roles globally. I'm pretty passionate about technology and technology-led services, and currently I lead the cybersecurity and GRC business for the practice globally.
Well, I'm quite excited to get you on today because I have spoken with the guys at HCL now on a number of occasions, such as the digital transformation of Manchester United. But I recently read about your cybersecurity launch, which is incredibly intriguing to me. So can you tell me a little bit more about this?
Actually, a lot of people probably don't know. We are about a 20-year-old practice with a very solid experience globally. We were founded in 1997, pretty much in the early days of internet. And that practice has grown multifold across infrastructure, cloud, identity management, risk and compliance, data security, application security, and off late in security of things, or IoT as people call it. We provide a 360-degree lifecycle services to our customers, including strategy and architecture, consulting, system integration, and managed services and operational support to our customers. What we're doing with this launch is we are creating a network of cybersecurity fusion centers globally. And the latest launch is in Frisco in Texas, in United States. The cybersecurity fusion centers actually integrate human expertise and a mature set of processes using an advanced platform solution with fair bit of analytical capability and threat intelligence integrated together that helps you orchestrate a response to any cyber threat, proactively defend yourselves. Essentially, it solves the problem of a siloed approach, which many organizations have on security today, into an integrated approach, providing you a comprehensive defense for your infrastructure, be it your network, workplace, mobile, application, or identity issues. So we are solving that problem of a unified approach to taking a posture against cybersecurity threats today that exist on the planet.
Now, as a former IT guy who's obviously cautious by nature, I'm often struck by how many businesses are diving headfirst into the digital transformation of everything, but they do forget about protecting everything that they've created. So I've got to ask, from your point of view, what are the best practices in protecting technology to combat security risks?
That's a very, very good point, Neil, actually. Organizations in their need for a speedy digital transformation are not embedding security best practices in their platforms, systems development lifecycle, or for that matter, qualifying even the data that they need to acquire. Some of the best practices that are extremely important in my point of view is very clear definition of data and areas of data being requested from customers, consumers, clear definition of who's got access to it, why he or she has got an access to it, where and how it is being stored, and when you are actually transmitting the data, if you are really encrypting it and protecting the privacy information of a data set, right? I think awareness of impact on security, and I believe that security is largely 50% an awareness, education, and a culture issue, while a lot of people think it's a technology issue. So it's very important that businesses, especially when they are in a digital transformation journey, invest in making their users aware about security threats and what a possible compromise could do. Last but not the least, when the customers are developing largely business systems and applications, they should incorporate security testing of their software code into the development lifecycle, checking for vulnerabilities in their applications, in their front-end applications, on their websites, etc., which is extremely important.
In an ideal world, we would always have a proactive rather than reactive approach to cybersecurity. But what advice would you offer around how to remediate incidents when they do occur?
The cybersecurity landscape is very, very complex. I mean, in the last 20 years, we've seen from being a very simple 2 to 3 issues to be solved, we see a very complex set of technology and process landscape that integrates cybersecurity today. So basically, if you look at it, cybersecurity is being seen in a very siloed manner. You either look at the network, you look at the application systems differently. I think what is more important is that organizations today are not sizing up their teams for that complexity, while attackers and hackers have a field day with the escalating threat landscape we have. The existing tools and processes have not been integrated, have not been kind of looked at in a holistic manner, how they help improve the posture. And we see a lot of this siloed tool-based buying to solve a particular problem set. And we also believe that, there are multiple threat incidents and alerts that are not being looked at proactively, right? So if you look at some of the reports, I mean, one of the World Economic Forum reports said that in 2018, that the threat of a cyber compromise is much, much higher and is third likeliest risk beyond data fraud and theft today. And some of the hackers with using AI techniques are becoming smarter, faster to compromise, the security posture of an organization. I would say for a proactive defense approach, there are 2 or 3 very important things in the world, and the customers or business enterprises must take a multi-domain approach, improve their detection. So I think your defense mechanisms have to be very good. So you have to build a strong capability to defend yourself, which means you should have the right set of tools and processes. A very well documented and easily accessible policy and procedure when you're actually either compromised by a malware, a password compromise, or any other kind of security vulnerability, say a phishing attack, which you see. And the third one I would say is a very well integrated mechanism of process and teams and technology teams across network, application, data center, business partners, and risk and management teams in an organization to really orchestrate a response when a compromise happens.
And as I said at the beginning of this podcast, HCL Cybersecurity Fusion Center is set to open in Frisco, Texas. And it seems to me, at least, that the opening represents the next phase in your company's mission to support secure business growth by providing your customers with a single point of contact for complete security incident lifecycle support, all the way from detection to remediation. So can you tell me a little bit more about the importance in your mind of a single point of contact in that security lifecycle management? Because I think it's so crucial, isn't it?
It is really, Neil, and I think that's, again, a very, very good point. And I think it's a very important organization today an investment can make to really have an expert organization that provides a single point of contact, looking at the complexity of the landscape of IT systems that exist and that have such a large threat landscape that can get compromised. I would like to take 1 or 2 examples for the benefit of our audience today. If you really look at the trading floor in a bank, the trading floor was such a critical piece in an investment bank's operations that they put a multiple set of IT people so that there was not a single system failure, because a second of blip could cost millions or probably sometimes even $1 billion of loss in the trading floor. I would kind of with the same analogy, put a context that if you have a specialist and a single point of contact who can actually, one, provide you a holistic solution, two, at the time if you get compromised, and unfortunately if you get compromised, really provide a very structured response mechanism for you to address the compromise and actually quickly recover you from the compromise. If you really go back about a year ago when we had the malware outbreaks of WannaCry, NotPetya, etc., you would have seen that organization took multiple days and in some cases up to a month to recover and restore all parts of their business. And I think that is where I think the lesson would have been learned of what is the importance of really having a single point of a contact, an expert organization, and a well-orchestrated response in today's world.
And we are hearing more and more about artificial intelligence and machine learning, especially around personalisation and marketing. But how are advanced machine learning algorithms being used to provide actionable insights to enable security teams to make smarter decisions too?
Yeah, that's actually a very hot topic today. And, the words that are being used today is artificial intelligence and adversarial artificial intelligence, which means it's like good AI versus bad AI.
Yeah.
AI has a use case both in terms of committing a hacking crime and at the same time defending yourself. But at the same time, I would say currently some of the capabilities are being overstated. And I would state that with a word of caution from our experience of running IT services and integrating multiple sort of tools and technologies over last 3 decades, that it is extremely important that we really realize what the problem statement is. Our problem statement today is that we really get into an alert fatigue because there are multiple data sources in IT that are throwing data at you, and your ability to correlate that data and make a meaningful, actionable intelligence out of it is actually the big issue, right? So what happens is when you look at millions and billions of data points, you're not able to really make sense out of it, and you end up being with alert fatigue, and then you can't look at that one bit there which is really going to cause a compromise. So I think it is extremely important that using AI, and especially I would say advanced analytical capability, you really create relationship and dynamic relationship between multiple data sets and then identify the breaches. So we see advent of many tools and technologies that are actually helping people like us in the cybersecurity services field to help our customers build these tool sets, build these processes, program on top of them, and create defense mechanisms against cyber attacks and cyber compromises. I think it's also important that we create a storyboard based on the events and provide a predictive future steps for progression. So if you are able to correlate these data sets, essentially you're actually looking at scenarios that are like stories, which you can actually figure out later on that if I had this kind of a scenario, what is a potential future predictive scenario? So that's how the AI and the machine learning and some of these advanced analytical tool sets and technologies playing into helping us in the cybersecurity world.
Now, I'm conscious we have talked about many problems affecting every business everywhere in the world. So I've got to ask, can you tell me a little bit more about how HCL is helping businesses overcome a lot of these challenges that we're talking about?
I would step back and probably give a broader comment and then get into security specifically.
Sure.
HCL is really solving multiple business challenges for a customer. We provide services that are really outcome-based and solve a business problem for customers, right? So if you look at, we have a mode 1, 2, 3 strategy in which mode 1 is essentially traditional outsourcing services across infrastructure, application, engineering, or business processes, while mode 2 is very focused on high momentum, currently highly important digital transformation, cloud transformation, Internet of Things, and cybersecurity as a solution for customer. And mode 3 is where we are offering many products and product-based services to customers. So actually a customer can work with HCL and look at multiple areas and solve multiple business problems across the IT landscape, or solve a business problem, business down with HCL. Very specific to security, we are actually helping customers, and I would probably leave it with one statement, Neil, is that from a static posture of yesterday, taking the customer to a dynamic posture in dealing with the emerging threat landscape on a minute by minute and a day by day basis. And that's what we do broadly at HCL today.
Now, I'm conscious you are working with some of the biggest businesses in the world. And Are there any kind of particular trends around the security problems that they're coming to you and asking for your help with?
Absolutely. So I think while there are conventional problems to solve, but I think there are 4 or 5 key areas which are really emerging. I think one is the speed of innovation, especially when you talked to me earlier about digital transformation, is driving the vulnerabilities in the system, because you're always catching up with the speed to market and time to market paradigm in a business. So you're pushing out business applications that are solving a problem, and hence potentially you're leaving some chinks in your applications that have a lot more vulnerability. So that is what the customers are looking at us to solve. The advent of IoT has simply multiplied the magnitude of the security problem manyfold today, right? So you have millions and billions of connected IoT devices, and hence your exposure from your home systems to your factory systems to your office systems is actually at a much larger scale than what we have seen traditionally in the IT environment. I think data protection and privacy, and if you look at the evolution of GDPR in Europe and some of the other data privacy laws like China Internet Law and the evolution of Internet law in India, and what has happened in multiple segments in US, in healthcare, financial services, all of that is actually raising the compliance demand, and which is what we have to meet, right? The fourth issue which customers are dealing with, data privacy, and we don't need to talk about it. I'm sure there is a lot of media coverage around all the breaches of private data of citizens, individuals that has happened across businesses, right? So that's the fourth issue. I think with digital and cloud, one very interesting problem that has emerged is how do you manage identity? Identity was earlier a problem that was within a data center or within a set of data applications, right? But today when you use a SaaS app, so let's say you use a Salesforce, you use an HR SuccessFactors, you use somebody else's digital platform for your digital marketing campaigns, how do you really manage identity is a problem which customers are looking at us for solving. So coupled with this, I think there's a huge and acute shortage of skills across the world today. I would say at any point in time today, we are really behind the demand curve versus the supply of talent available, whether it is North America, whether it is continental Europe, or whether it is Asia Pacific. I think in every part of the world, we are trying to deal with that acute shortage of talent.
Now, it has taken a little bit of time for the boardroom to see the value and the ROI in cybersecurity, but I do think that is changing. But if we do have a business leader listening today, what is the key message that you would want them to walk away from today's conversation?
I think that's a very, very important question you asked me. And recently we did a kind of a press release and a media interaction on this subject across the world. I think today security is a boardroom issue. 2 to 3 years ago, it was down the chain, a technical IT issue, right? Yeah. I think I would say to a business leader, there are 2 or 3 facets. Security is no more a technology challenge. It is a challenge of driving a culture by design in the organization, user awareness and thinking, and really taking an integrated risk-based approach to security. So I would say investments in technology are actually after you have understood your threat posture today and threat landscape today, and then invest in the right technologies and do not shy away from these investments, because sometimes the compromises, and I think there are enough examples in the last 2 to 3 years where taking a static posture has hurt many business enterprises. So take a dynamic approach, understand that you have to invest in education of your people, understand that technology investment and integrated technology investment and not knee-jerk technology and tools investment is important and message of the day. So that is what, Neil, I would request every business leader today to look at from a security point of view.
Now, I'm conscious we have covered a lot of ground today and a lot of topics around cybersecurity, and it possibly could have left a lot of people listening with even more questions. So can you just remind the listeners of the best way of finding you guys online, and also the best way of contacting a member of your team if they do have any questions?
Oh, thank you for that opportunity, Neil, and thank you. It was a great conversation. There are 2 email IDs I will leave to our listeners today with, which provide an access to HCL and me. One is cybersecurity-grc@hcl.com and Maninder_cybersecurity@hcl.com. So we'll be very happy to receive any questions. and provide suggestions, advice, or answers as your listeners may need. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I'll add those links to the show notes and the blog post that will accompany this podcast episode. But I wish you the best of luck with HCL Cybersecurity Fusion Centre. And I think it's so forward-thinking to provide your customers with that single point of contact for complete security incident lifecycle support, all the way from detection to remediation. It really is such a big step forward. But more than anything, just a big thank you for taking the time to come and speak with me today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I cannot thank Maninder enough for taking the time to discuss the broader cybersecurity topics that are impacting multiple industries with me today. And we covered a lot of ground there, from best practices in protecting technology to combating security risks and remediate incidents when they occur. And of course, the importance of a single point of contact in a security lifecycle management scenario. And finally, how advanced machine learning algorithms can be used to provide actionable insights that will enable security teams to make much smarter decisions. But if this is your world, or you work in cybersecurity or IT, and you think we've missed anything at all from today's conversation, I want you to email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. Why? Because I want you to join the conversation too. Because your opinion is just as important as mine and the guests. Possibly more important than mine, I suspect, too. So keep those messages coming in. And while you're tapping away furiously at a keyboard, I'm going to go make myself a drink and prepare for tomorrow's episode. And we've got another belter coming your way. So thanks for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.